778. Qua. I feel the power of the radiance mantra that has been confining me all this time scattering away. The underworld's authority of cycle of reincarnation crushes and extinguishes the authority of regression. At the same time, the space-time suppression that the radiance mantra presides over. That is, I feel the law that restricts space-time movement of all existences except light in this world breaking apart. Now, if anyone only has the capability, they can leap across space-time and go to the past. Of course, it is hard for an ordinary existence, and one must be at least at the level of a supreme deity of the Earth tribe pathway. As long as there is no restriction from the radiance mantra, someone like me who is a mortal beast king, or the underworld, or the heavenly venerable of time can regress by their own will. But, if I do not regress by my own will, I will never come back to life. Seo Un-yun. Since the radiance mantra is broken, let us begin the cleanup. The underworld speaks to me. I squeeze out my last remaining strength. I, by the authority of the immortal beast king, declare. My singe utterance resounds through the Sumeru three heavens great thousand world. And the heavenly venerable of the underworld, who carries countless spirits, begins to move their Gandhara. I, in the name of the oldest earth immortal. Kugugugugu. At the underworld's single utterance, the Sumeru three heavens great thousand world begins to quake and tremble. Immediately after, Young Sung, who has been on standby, appears. Young Sung borrows the power of the source river that has been subsumed by the artificial Gandhara, and, temporarily borrowing the power of the northern dipper sealing immortal flag from me, creates a gigantic structure centered around himself. A celestial sphere of starlight in which countless needles and mechanical devices interweave. From Young Sung's body, the will of the heavenly venerable of time settles, and declares an utterance. I, the god calendrical methods, by the authority of the owner of passing time, declare. The immortal beast king, the highest earth immortal, the god of time, as the powers and agreements of the three existences overlap, a point in the past falls into our grasp. As the authorities of three governing immortals at the heavenly venerable level overlap, the world is rewritten. By the authorities of the three imperial venerables. History begins to rewind, now that the radiance mantra has vanished. The time of the Sumeru three heavens great thousand world is regressed by the three imperial venerables. To commemorate the existences that, influenced by my fight with the great mountain supreme deity, met a regrettable annihilation. It is a regression carried out to give back the lives and homelands of mortal beings. Although existences above quasi-immortal are not affected by the regression, and those at the sacred vessel stage and the star-shattering stage would feel a sense of dissonance. Mortal beings below that will receive, without any side effect, as compensation for being unfairly swept up and killed by the battle of transcendence, the gift of a new life. Kugugugugu. Watching history rewind. Wo Wang. I, holding the corpses of Hong Fan and the five desires chain in my arms, begin to walk toward the seat of the mountain visible before my eyes. If we recklessly turn back time without countermeasures, in the worst-case scenario, something like the great mountain supreme deity could be born, so I must seize the seat. Although he is annihilated, precisely because he is annihilated, what resurrects could be not the great mountain supreme deity himself, but a blood yin-like monster similar to the great mountain supreme deity. Such a birth would be an insult even to the great mountain supreme deity, so I, as the courtesy of a junior brother, must seize this seat. Countless true immortals feel time turning back and are taken aback, but even amid that, mountain divine spirits across the world who have been suppressed by the great mountain supreme deity begin to aim for what I have set before my eyes. Kugugugugu. Earth immortals who follow the immortal Tao of the mountain yet failed to make a name, hiding in fear of the great mountain supreme deity. Heaven immortals that are mountain divine spirits of Radiance Hall, like Ho Woon, who were prepared as candidates to usurp the seat of the great mountain supreme deity in emergencies. Among them, the mountain divine spirits at the realm of great net immortal all at once attempt advancement to usurp the emptied mountain seat. I look at the sight before my eyes. The process of seizing the seat, though it may look ridiculous, looks quite similar to the process of a sperm meeting an egg and fertilizing. Only the first great net immortal to seat itself on a single seat becomes the immortal lord. Kugugugugu. Only, unlike the fertilization of life, even if one becomes an immortal lord and grows stronger than others, one continues to be threatened by others. In my eyes, within the reverse side of the regressing three heavens great thousand world. The world inside the origin essence of the mountain, formed by the authority of the mountain immortal Tao. That immortal domain is reflected. The heaven and earth great immortals who enter the immortal domain, including me, number 17 in total. Most of them, watching my reaction, set their eyes on the center of the origin source of the mountain. They covet the origin of the immortal Tao. As if communications pass speedily among them, they all at once join hands and begin to oppose me. From their standpoint, I, who defeated the main body of the great mountain supreme deity, am the greatest obstacle, so they want to get rid of me, an out-of-standard powerhouse, as quickly as possible, and then fight among themselves who look more or less manageable. I suppose they think it's worth a try. Inside the world of the origin essence, inside the immortal domain, the laws of the outside hardly apply. The power of fate and history operates only faintly, and the authorities of other origin essences are also halved. The strongest power within an origin essence is only the authority of the immortal Tao derived from that origin essence. In other words, to seize the seat, one must fight and win within the interior of this origin essence of the mountain using only the power of the mountain immortal Tao and one's understanding of it. Thus they believe that my power, armed with all sorts of strange mantras, the authority of the immortal beast king, and the power of martial pinnacle, does not apply strongly. On top of that, they seem to think I must be tired from facing the great mountain supreme deity, blocking splitting heaven, and even turning back time. Wo Wang, there is one more, and, at the center of the origin essence of the mountain. As I sense the presence felt from the seat, I understand why those existences try to face me through such a reckless act. It is the will of GWAKM. GWAKM, the great mountain supreme deity, left his will in the origin essence of the mountain. I do not acknowledge you. To the end, that tenacious and stubborn will that, even as he died, never acknowledged me. That arrogant consciousness that only he is the sole heir to the robe and alms bowl of Salt Mountain. That is what repels me, who defeated the great mountain supreme deity, the most strongly. The one closest to the origin essence of the mountain, yet the most rejected. Because that is me, unlike other mountain divine spirits, even the power of the mountain immortal Tao inside the immortal domain within the origin essence is partially reduced for me. However, not the slightest bit of a thought of defeat arises within me. The understanding of the mountain immortal Tao that I learned from Ho Woon. The understanding of repentant enlightenment that I learned from Salt Sea. The authority of the mountain that I realized while fighting against GWAKM. Holding all that understanding in these hands, I begin to shake the entirety of the mountain immortal domain by my will. At my will, they all let out silent exclamations. : Do you seek to strike me down and sit in that place, O great immortals? Are you not afraid of me? Though this immortal is tired, though the origin essence of the mountain rejects this immortal, though your numbers are many, do you think you can dare face this immortal? I speak while looking around at the 16 great net immortals who approach me and begin to form a formation. O second disciple of the great Salt Mountain. And the 16 disciples answer me with a very courteous attitude. All here acknowledge your great achievements. Normally, we are existences who cannot even stand before you. Though we are great net immortals, before you we are existences who cannot dare put forth our names. But precisely so, unless it is here, we cannot stand against an existence like you. They surround me with a serious attitude and speak. We too are those who accepted death and ascended to true immortality. Death is not frightening, only, what is frightening is to miss, without even attempting, the chance of advancement to governing immortal. That may not come once in a lifetime even for a true immortal. Only, what is frightening is to squander, against an existence like you, the chance to seize the seat by burning all our souls. Only, what is frightening is to waste the chance to climb the immortal Tao and see its end. I look at them. Only, what is frightening is, having been unable to unfold our will under the great mountain supreme deity, to do nothing and let the chance to reach the end of immortal cultivation that has finally come slip by. If we die, it is merely that our immortal affinity is lacking. Even if we die, there is no shame in dying to an opponent like you. So we do not resent you, O honorable mountain divine spirit sword mountain devil lord. We humbly ask for your teaching. They are not those who come seeking the greed of advancement to immortal lord. Rather, as ones who stepped onto the immortal Tao, they are beings who have come seeking a chance to reach its end. : I apologize. I did not try to know your true intent, and I harbored a heart that discounts and disdains you. This is an insult to you. I deliver an apology to the mountain divine spirits and begin in earnest to exert the authority of the mountain immortal Tao. If they are true immortals, except for a few, not a single one of them is ordinary. To accept death, by whatever path, is something one can do only because one possesses an extraordinary will. Moreover, these are great net immortals. They are not existences I dare to look down upon. I pay respect to you, and I too shall go with sincerity. I wring dry my now empty immortal body and true soul. Qua. The will I have carried through until now materializes as the authority of the mountain immortal Tao. Quajik, Quaja Jaja Jajik. Around me, colorless glass. Swords begin to sprout. Starting from that, the swords of glass gradually begin to cover the universe of the origin essence of the mountain, the entire immortal domain. The 16 great immortals also cause mountains of their own to bloom around them. There are those who bloom volcanoes, those who bloom Mount Wudangs, and those who bloom Mount Emice. There are those who bloom the 100,000 great mountains, and there are those who bloom snow mountains. Among them, I look at the one who blooms snow mountains. That being is a faceless divine spirit of blue light. It is clearly certain that they are of the earth tribe origin, yet that great net immortal is of the heaven immortal lineage. For some reason, they are so familiar. I see. It is Ho Woon. From killing the naming supreme deity with Radiance Hall, waging war against Radiance Hall, and even battling against the great mountain supreme deity, a long time has passed. Enough time for the heaven immortal Ho Woon to resurrect, resume cultivation again, become a great net immortal, and challenge the origin essence. Though it is not a very long time, but in this life so fierce and full of countless grand events, there must have been many enlightenments and authorities to be gained from them. Warurururuk. The flames of the volcano mountain divine spirit melt the glass sword mountain. The snow mountain divine spirit Ho Woon scatters snow and covers the glass sword mountain. There is also a sand mountain divine spirit, and they cover the glass sword mountain with a desert. Thus, answering the glass sword mountain with each of their own mountains, they one by one walk toward the origin of the seat. Watching them, I too walk toward the origin of the seat. A repelling force pushes me away, but I do not care. I go against the will of GWAKM head-on and approach the seat, and gradually I fill the entire immortal domain with glass sword mountains. Across the entire expanse of the immortal domain, glass sword mountains sprout. The sharp energy laid upon those sword mountains cuts their immortal bodies and transfers to them flames mixed with pain. The great immortals, simultaneously while in agony, each summon their mountains and hurl them at me, and they make mountain ranges bloom in the space to bind my body. Gradually, the immortal domain, once the form of a universe, fills with all sorts of miscellaneous mountains, and the four directions of heaven and earth. A spectacle unfolds where the bearings of the six harmonies are entirely filled with wondrous and bizarre mountains. We, eroding the immortal domain with our respective mountains, advance forward. Kwa Ching. The authorities of some mountain divine spirits fail to bind me and crack apart. I, whose body itself is the glass sword mountain, push straight onward and head for the origin, trampling the mountains of other mountain divine spirits. The other mountain divine spirits, pained by the glass sword mountains I create, have their entire bodies lacerated and stop in place. Ho Woon's snowfall meets me. The cold blizzard of the snow mountain blocks me. I, paying no mind to that chill, shove aside the snow mountain with my body and move forward. Ho Woon, their whole body skewered by my glass sword mountain, sighs. Is this the mountain of the one who defeated the great mountain supreme deity? It hurts. And it is clean. Kung, Kung, Kung. The closer I get to the origin of the mountain, the stronger the repelling force becomes, so at some point my steps toward the mountain slow. Seeing me thus, Ho Woon speaks. O mountain divine spirit closest to governing immortal. O honorable sword mountain devil lord, is the reason your mountain is strong, because you yourself also become wounded. He walks upon the sword mountain, looks at my own limbs being lacerated by my own swords, and sighs. It is not a blade that applies only to us, but a painful blade to you yourself as well. O God of Sword Mountain! Thus you are strong, but if even you yourself suffer so, can you truly reach the summit of the mountain? Before I know it, the mountains of the other mountain divine spirits all fall, and the mountain spirits, skewered upon my sword mountain, come to a halt. There is no great battle. Only a contest of the mountain immortal Tao. Yet with that contest alone, I skewered all the mountain divine spirits in place and, within the universe of the origin essence of the mountain, I filled the immortal domain entirely with the glass sword mountain. That is right, all space is the glass sword mountain. Even the path to sit upon that seat. How does a being with a personality choose such pain? Why, choose such pain? Kukwik, I, trampling the sword mountain that pierces my own foot, answer calmly. To become equal with everyone. Even if I sit upon that seat, in order to not forget the heart of a mortal through this pain. I lash myself and move my steps. Seeing me thus, Ho Woon speaks. I truly hope that you no longer need to suffer. If you prove equality through pain, is such equality truly different? From the Tao of the Great Mountain Supreme Deity, I contemplate over the topic Ho Woon throws and offer them brief thanks. Thank you for the good contemplation. Kung, Kung, Kung. I gradually climb to the summit of the immortal domain covered with glass sword mountains. The repelling force grows stronger, and the will of GWAKM contained within that repelling force also becomes distinct. Prove it. The last words GWAKM left. That you can sever the cycle. Kung. Until then, I do not acknowledge you. Cooing. Soon, at the center of the origin essence of the mountain, the source of all power comes into view. The grand, pure white mountain of salt that was previously surrounded by the corpse mountain blood sea. The great palace on that mountain summit. Single quote. I see. I understand what the salt mountain on Punglai Island and the great palace at the summit of the salt mountain symbolize. Kugugugu. Now, through my main body, which has become far larger than that salt mountain, I reach out my hand toward that salt mountain. I feel an immense repelling force, but as I am now, I can fully overcome the dead GWAKM's will. Cooing. At last, my hand touches the salt mountain. Die it. TSTSTSTSTSTs. The salts of the salt mountain begin to turn into glass. The glass becomes swords and pierces me. I begin to completely seize the seat. Now, even if regression is completed, the birth of any of GWAKM's leftovers is blocked at the source. Only, the problem is me. After killing the great mountain supreme deity, I blocked the splitting heaven mantra while in an exhausted state. Began turning back time together with the heavenly venerables, and fought 16 mountain divine spirits and 1. Accepting life and death is what a true immortal does, yet even so, it feels like I am about to die. As I feel all power draining away, I can instinctively tell that if I do not seize the seat here, I will be devoured by the seat. Do I live, become an immortal lord, and challenge the heavenly king advancement? Or do I get eaten by the seat and die? Only two choices remain. As much as I erode the seat also erodes me. The lingering thought of the great mountain supreme deity remaining in the seat torments me like a heart demon. Do you truly think you are right? Do you truly think you can prove it? Do you truly think you are better than me? Though GWAKM is dead, he still seems alive before my eyes. You, even though you and I both toyed with a person's life, can you say you are different from me? I look at GWAKM's lingering pondered with clear eyes. And I look at the product of obsession that GWAKM, to the very end, left behind with extreme tenacity. Kiak. GWAKM's seat. The great palace atop Salt Mountain opens. And what comes out from inside is someone all too familiar to me. Quote. Hello. Seok Young. Wal Ryong. She is my victim whom I toyed with, and my reverse scale, with the fault and the grace and grievance lying plainly. With me, you look powerless. She, from above the palace, looks at me and speaks. Do you want to seize the seat? The two enemies Chung Min spoke of. Precisely speaking, the second of the assignments I must solve. That is Wal Ryong, defeating the great mountain supreme deity, blocking the splitting heaven mantra, losing my friend, turning back time, driving off the mountain divine spirits, driving off GWAKM's lingering thoughts. Now, in a state where both body and heart have become battered to pieces, staking my life and barely seizing the seat. At last, I can tell that I have become equal to her. Quote. No. TSTSTSTSTs. Before Wal Ryong, I draw forth non-existent power, manifest the body of a mortal being, draw a glass sword that sprouts nearby, and speak while holding it. Apologizing to you comes first. Is it your way to apologize while holding a sword? The way to receive forgiveness is only possible when both are in a state of equality. I toss the glass sword I hold to her. Wal Ryong snatches that sword without hesitation, and I likewise draw and pick up another sword nearby again. The strength I have left is but a single mortal body. Only, since this place is the very center of the mountain immortal domain that I have almost seized, even with a mortal body my power is between the heavenly being stage and the earth axis stage. She is a powerhouse of true immortality. Moreover, I don't know what enlightenment she gained while being subjected to repentant enlightenment by the great mountain supreme deity. Right now, you and I are equal. Whatever GWAKM did, she, limited to, when dealing with me, is able to display her true skill even within the mountain immortal domain. The life remaining to me is now only one. Having even offered up regression, this death is my end. Therefore, Taking into account that this may truly be my last, I focus my entire mind on her. So, unravel the knot with all your strength. Wal Ryong. If I die here, I will also accept it. I at last fully understand and smile at the heart of true mortality that I did not truly understand because I was a regressor. Yuring, Yurururun. The mountain immortal domain ripples, and I feel the heavenly venerable of the underworld attempt to intervene. The underworld 10 great kings that I stored inside my body rampage, but I, even taking into account that I will be disadvantaged against Wal Ryong, forcibly suppress them and block the will of the underworld. Retribution is the affair of the underworld. Did you not think that even apart from retribution, the living already have so much to do? Perhaps having diligently watched my battle with Great Mountain through Indra's net, the underworld relays their will to me, letting me hear the thought I previously had. Did you not also erase the radiance mantra? If you die now, you will truly end here. This obsidian of this era will not be born. The voice of the underworld, for the first time, trembles ever so faintly. If you seize the origin essence of the mountain safely, you will become the only existence who can compare to the vast cold at their prime. This is the first era in which all enders have reached governing immortal, the very first. No heavenly king, across all history, neither silver basket, nor obsidian, nor vast cold. No single one has ever achieved the feat of leading all the other enders up to heavenly king. This is a feat possible only because you were there. The voice bears dignity, yet somehow sounds pleading. Your possibility of reaching Heavenly King is also surging. If even you ascend to Heavenly King, all enders will have arrived at the conclusion. Now is the best set of conditions in all of history to challenge the future king. If you seize the origin essence and reach Heavenly King, your one strength will equal that of all the other 6 Heavenly Kings combined. Do you truly mean to stake your life here? Indeed, no matter that I reach the ultimate of martial arts, right now I am near a state of emptiness. I may say I have about the power of the heavenly being stage or whatnot, but in truth I am already exhausted too. The state of being in tatters, so I tire, deplete quickly, and soon will become no different from a mortal. By the judgment of the heavenly venerable of the underworld, who reached the realm called true martial arts, I would presently lose to Wal Ryong, and befitting an existence that governs death. As Wal Ryong truly tries to kill me, the heavenly venerable of the underworld perceives all too well that my death draws near. That is to say, I will die. That is so, but this is not something prophesied. There is no absolute power. If only you receive the help of your comrades or of this venerable, sufficient possibility also lies with you. The underworld continues. I am not saying do not dissolve resentment. This is a fight disadvantageous to you. Did you not say that? Forgiveness can only be obtained when there is equality. When I toyed with that child's life, we were not in an equal state. Do you say you will not face the owner of fate, the enemy of your master? My master said this about the imperial venerable, that you are an old hag who does not properly explain important things. I am not joking. I am not joking either. I speak toward the underworld. The only one who can break the chain of hatred is the victim. The reason I could forgive GWAKM is because I, as the victim, surpassed him. Saying that forgiveness is established only when equal is merely the minimum condition. This is also to answer GWAKM's last will. Can I avoid the ring of resentment at my convenience? I do not know whether the owner of fate is my master's enemy, but what is certain is, facing Wal Ryong, I shout to the underworld. If it is that person, they would not want a disciple who cannot even resolve his own enmity to come to resolve enmity for them. Perhaps deciding words do not work. The underworld begins trying with full force to enter the world of the origin essence of the mountain. No matter how within the immortal domain of an origin essence the power of other Taos is halved, that is only up to a certain extent. An existence on the level of the underworld can surely exercise terrifying authority within the origin essences. Immortal domain as if it were their own home. But then it happens. Cheolkong. From outside, I feel a familiar presence. Mantra falling flowers. A familiar law seems to be felt outside the immortal domain, and it begins to block the underworld's entry. It is Kong Min-hee. Surik. And, above the palace of Salt Mountain, familiar divine figures begin to reveal themselves. Beginning with Kong Min-hee, there is Kim Young-hoon, Jaeon Myung-hoon, Oh Yun-sok, Kim Yeon, and Oh Hi-seo. My comrades descend here with merely the incarnations at the level of mortal beings. Kong Min-hee says she had a talk Jaeon Myung-hoon speaks curtly. Kong Min-hee flowed into the corpse mountain blood sea and had a conversation with Wal Ryong. And, she seems to have shared the conversation from that time with the comrades as well. Quote. We will block for you. Jaeon Myung-hoon, closing his eyes, speaks with a bitter expression. They also are in a state exhausted to the utmost, yet I see that outside they begin to mobilize their main bodies to block the underworld. Even though they sense my death, they all surround us and create the arena where I and Wal Ryong will duel. Kim Yeon sheds tears. She seems to want to help me at once, but, perhaps due to something Kong Min-hee said to her, she does not step forward. Kong Min-hee sheds tears as well. However, she only asks Wal Ryong for something through voice transmission and does not block her. Outside the immortal domain, the reaction of the heavenly venerable of the underworld is such that they seem to be doing something violently, as the vibration is felt even here. It seems the underworld is directly leading their Gandhara and doing something. They seem to be shouting something, to be fiercely scolding my comrades including Kong Min-hee. However, my comrades only squeeze their eyes tightly shut and shed tears, saying nothing. Calmly blocking the underworld's procession, they simply observe the duel between me and Wal Ryong. Quote. Thank you. I express my gratitude toward my friends who respect my will. Well then, let's now begin. I do not know what conversation Kong Min-hee had with Wal Ryong. I also do not know what was passed along to my comrades. But what is certain is but one. What I can give her, is my life. So this is how it feels. Long ago, I remember the words of a sword cultivator who, before me, resolved to die and shouted. Our lives are an instant. The essence of lightning is also an instant. If our lives bloom and wither in an instant, then is not even this short fleeting instant before imminent destruction also my life? As a practitioner who has studied the lightning path method for hundreds of years, as a sword cultivator, even if it's just the form of death, I want to entrust it to you, not the heavens. If it is a life that will perish anyway, if it is a fate fixed anyway, I will entrust at least its form to the hands of the one I love. Only today, with my regression cut off and facing true death, can I truly feel that heart with my chest. Since the only thing I can give you is my life, I will entrust the form of my death to you. That is, as one who toyed with a person's life, as one who played with a person's heart, and, as one who was truly loved by the person named Wal Ryong, the greatest decision I can make. If what I must repay anyway is grace and resentment, then at least entrusting its form to the hands of the one who loves me is the natural order. With those words, Wal Ryong swings the colorless glass sword toward me. The last of all enmity. It is a battle where I must truly stake my entire life, and the greatest obstacle I must face at the end of the path of immortal cultivation. 779. A deep, dark valley of the corpse mountain blood sea. There, Wal Ryong was half forced to undergo repentant enlightenment and saw and gained countless things. And she pondered, if the divine providence of the world is pain, is the only way to escape pain death. In the end, whatever emotions one has, if all returning to pain is returning to one as the divine providence of the world, then are all the emotions one has in this world meaningless. And, to such a Wal Ryong, someone came. It was a being that presides over what is called sorrow. The divinity called the lapis lazuli flower heavenly king, who governs sorrow, exchanged meaning with her. And, as a result, the lapis lazuli flower heavenly king and Wal Ryong came to a certain conclusion. Chuot, a sword cleaves across the mountain. Kedik, along the sword's trajectory, a terrifying attraction force arises, and space wildly distorts. Jijik. The battlefield of Wal Ryong and Seo Eun-yun repeatedly widens and narrows, and between those shifts, their fight unfolds. Kwang, Seo Eun-yun is flung away. From the beginning, he only has power at the heavenly being stage, but because he is already mobilizing everything to suppress the underworld 10 great kings within his main body, the full strength he can produce is at best the chi refining stage. Compared to Wal Ryong, who has reached true immortality, his level is in effect no different from immortals. However, why is it, even with such a difference in weight class? Even though Wal Ryong is practically no diverse from a small world unto herself. Seo Eun-yun stands against Wal Ryong without being pushed back at all. A white strike of radiance that splits heaven and earth thrusts down from the sky. The light of filling the heavens sword rain falls down aimed at only one being. Jaejeong, each of the colossal great swords that would, in a single strike, rip a sun apart falls from the firmament. But Seo Eun-yun skillfully unfolds void stepping, evades the great swords, and then, in a very gentle posture, lifts his sword and swings upward. Seo Eun-yun's small sword and Wal Ryong's great swords collide, and a grand Brahma bell sound rings out. Jaejayong. What collapses is Wal Ryong's sword. Regulating his breath, Seo Eun-yun dug into the grain of breath within a true immortal strike and broke through the single strike of true immortality. That is only the beginning. Seo Eun-yun steps on the void and charges toward Wal Ryong through the spaces between the great swords. The swords begin to collapse. Kuguging. The fragments of filling the heavens sword rain that Wal Ryong unleashes shatter and scatter. And through the downpour of those sword fragments, Seo Eun-yun and Wal Ryong crash into each other. Ha! Wal Ryong exhales and lets out a ki. At the same time, thousands of glass mountains behind Seo Eun-yun are smashed to pieces and vanish. He completely let Wal Ryong's power flow through and transferred it to the glass mountains behind. Seeing that divine skill by which he can face a true immortal with a mortal's body, Wal Ryong takes one step back and begins to perform a sword dance. Wal Ryong's sword energy dies white and bends flexibly. That sight looks as if dozens of white snakes are aiming at Seo Eun-yun's neck. Shiririk. But something astonishing happens. Seo Eun-yun also begins to perform a sword dance. And what appears as a sword dance perfectly identical to Wal Ryong's. In an instant, he reads Wal Ryong's movement, acquires the martial art, and reaches exactly the same level as Wal Ryong. The two face each other like a mirror and unfold exactly the same sword. And at some moment, flash, at the end of the white sword dance, Wal Ryong and Seo Eun-yun face each other, meeting each other's swords from opposite directions in exactly the same way. Wal Ryong thinks, so he can see through all lower-grade martial arts and learn them in an instant. The opponent is a being who reached the apex of the domain called martial combat in the Sumeru 3000 Great Thousand World. She is at true immortality, yet he lets all of her attacks flow past and perfectly copies and follows that offensive. And, Seo Eun-yun's foot movement. Wal Ryong instinctively senses that movement of the foot and raises her sword, but the footwork and the sword's direction come in from completely different places. A sword art that deceives the opponent with footwork. With that offbeat attack, Wal Ryong's left arm is cut off. Jaeong. A flash of light flickers. Even if Wal Ryong took on a human-shaped transformation form, her essence is a world itself. And he, with that mortal's body, cut that body of hers. I see, he is cutting away only the necessary parts. She can tell instinctively. He compresses to the utmost the puny power that is only at the chi refining stage, and through instantaneous acceleration reaching the domain of Indra's net, he strikes the principle itself. If he can thereby affect the principles, then even with the body of a mortal being, he can harm the body of an immortal. She looks at the opponent before her and understands. The one before her is the pinnacle of martial arts. The immortal beast king of this era. The myth who toppled the great mountain supreme deity Gwakm head-on. Our weight class is meaningless. Wo Wang. With that feeble power at merely the chi refining stage, he forms Gang Chi, and compresses that Gang Chi again and again to reach a domain like a string smaller than every particle in this world. Against sword strikes where each and every strike cuts the principle, it means nothing at all that the authority, the life, and the weight class are greater. But precisely because of that, Wal Ryong pours her full strength in even more. All of her weight class, accumulated to true immortality, burns. The enlightenments she gained within the corpse mountain blood sea burst forth from her hands. With a half-baked martial art, I cannot seize the initiative. What she must do is only maximize her own advantageous points. Space-time bends under attraction force, and Wal Ryong's time accelerates even more. Stronger, faster, sharper, Suat, burning her realm of true immortality, Wal Ryong strengthens her own physical capabilities. It is a combat method like Gwakm's, yet she is different. Suat, she strengthens the body with the authority and weight class of a true immortal. Beyond that strengthening, she strengthens the instinct embedded deep within the body. Beyond that instinct, she strengthens the talent that leads her from further within. Something catches in Wal Ryong's senses. It is something that seems close to emptiness. At the same time, it is a consciousness that sees the myriad flows. It is what some call void perception. Having obtained void perception, Wal Ryong, through talent, unfolds her sword to reach Seo Eun-yun. White sword strikes scatter madly over the top of Salt Mountain. Wal Ryong becomes a disaster. She becomes the fire demon that burns the forest, the tidal wave that covers the earth, and the earthquake that makes heaven and earth roar. At the same time, she is the storm that rips everything up and flings it away, and the waterspout that hurls what is on the ground up into the firmament. However, Seo Eun-yeon meets and breaks through all those attacks in a form identical to hers, like a mirror. Wal Ryong can tell. This is still not enough. Sot. Squeezing out all her authority, Wal Ryong begins to strengthen void perception once again. More. Wal Ryong's sword strikes collapse the peak of Salt Mountain and bring down the glass mountains beyond. But Seo Eun-yeon completely lets that power flow through and takes no damage at all. More. Feigning a kick to pry Seo Eun-yeon off, Wal Ryong plays with her footwork, then with her right foot, steps on Seo Eun-yeon's left foot to pin him and send a sword strike. Seo Eun-yeon dodges Wal Ryong's sword strike by the difference of a few strands of hair, and then, with utter naturalness, slips free by taking off his shoes and socks on the spot. More. Wal Ryong's sword curves like a snake and targets Seo Eun-yeon's left ribs. Seo Eun-yeon's sword seems to draw a circle, then in an instant, spins like a wheel once and flicks that sword away. Please, land. Wal Ryong pours everything of herself in and does her utmost to hit Seo Eun-yeon. And at some moment, Wal Ryong, through void perception, touches what lies beyond. Ah, the source of Wal Ryong's talent. Her fate, the mandate of the being called Wal Ryong, appointed as the next sword spear Heavenly Lord, wholly infuses into her sword. If it's this, she is a being fated as a victor and a god of war. Wal Ryong must be the victor. The fate of victory dwells in her sword. As what is called fate dwells in the sword, only then does Wal Ryong just barely manage to enter Seo Eun-yeon's domain. Kong. She twists her waist from lower left to upper right and cuts the opponent diagonally. Seo Eun-yeon also tries to let her sword slide off in the exact same posture, but Wal Ryong's sword accelerates for a moment and, off-beat, enters Seo Eun-yeon's distance. Seo Eun-yeon regulates his breathing and takes the defensive, and Wal Ryong presses the offensive even harder. Kong, Kong, Kong. With one attack, one hand span of distance. Wal Ryong's sword is gradually drawing that one hand span closer to Seo Eun-yeon. Kong. Once again the gazes of Wal Ryong and Seo Eun-yeon collide in midair. They look into each other's eyes, but cannot read what the other is thinking. Wal Ryong simply lacks the realm, and Seo Eun-yeon intentionally does not read her thoughts for the sake of her dignity. However, if it is a duel between martial artists, in the end even without reading thoughts through laws, one has no choice but to infer the other's thinking through the breath, the movement of the muscles, and the tremor of the sword tip. Though they cannot read each other's thoughts, they can read the faint meanings each holds. And, upon reading those meanings, the exchange between Wal Ryong and Seo Eun-yeon becomes even more intense. No. Wal Ryong looks at Seo Eun-yeon. I, like you. Seo Eun-yeon looks at Wal Ryong. Those eyes are full of a wavering that does not know what to do. But the tip of his sword does not waver. Sword Heaven Annihilation Advancement. Querararik. From around Wal Ryong, white sword energy seems to surge then, having drawn a circle to gain rotational force. It explodes in all directions. But, within that explosion, Seo Eun-yeon's shadow is visible. Wal Ryong rushes toward that shadow like a bolt and thrusts her sword. Is this feeling real? Did you not intervene in my fate and simply infect me? Wal Ryong's sword changes. It is the sword she had back then, before she earned the name Wal Ryong, when she was Wal Ah. The sword holds her moment as a child, when she was innocent. That sword is clean. Again, the sword changes. The sword grows. A sword that contains herself from when she entered the Radiant Spirit sect. That sword contains countless possibilities. The sword changes. A sword that contains the time when she met Seo Eun-yeon. The sword is engulfed in passion. The sword changes again. A sword that contains the time when she went with Seo Eun-yeon to another heavenly domain. The sword becomes chaotically distorted. The sword changes again. If this heart is nothing but fake, then in this world, would the only thing that has meaning not be fate? The sword that contains the time when she came to love Seo Eun-yeon. That confused sword is restrained based on that heart and returns to a gentle trajectory. And, the last of all those trajectories. Again, the sword changes. If in this world there is nothing that has meaning besides fate. This is the sword from when, knowing all truth, she was dragged to the great mountain supreme deity. Suat. Wal Ryong's white sword light becomes dyed black. The black sword strike that contains pain itself swallows Seo Eun-yeon. Isn't something like the cycle of pain, impossible to sever? To her, fate is a circle. Since she was young, she dreamed. she dreamed of a black snake biting its tail, drawing a circle and covering her life. And as she entered the path of immortal cultivation and accumulated cultivation, she could understand. The snake that appeared in her dreams is her fate. No, not only her fate, but all fates in this world are set to draw a circle. The closer she got to fate, the more she felt it keenly. And at last, when she was eaten by Corpse Mountain Blood Sea and came to know the truth of the world. When she came to know that this world is filled with pain. Wal Ryong understood. Fate is pain. Therefore, if life is only fate, pain cannot be severed. The ring of hatred, resentment, and pain cannot be severed either. Because, that life is only fate means that pain, hatred, resentment, and even oneself all belong to fate. Unless one cuts oneself, the ring of fate cannot be severed. Yes, everything in this world is fake. To become real, there is nothing but for fate to end. Therefore, Wal Ryong raises her sword and unleashes an extreme speed thrust toward Seo Eun-yun. Flash. A flash flickers, and Wal Ryong's right leg is cut off. Because principle is cut, even she who has an immortal body cannot regenerate. But even one-legged, she directly thrusts her sword toward Seo Eun-yun. If I want to know whether the heart between you and me was real. Quaching. Seo Eun-yun lifts his sword from below and smashes it against the flat of Wal Ryong's blade face meeting blade. Face. From that single strike, both Seo Eun-yun's and Wal Ryong's swords shatter at the same time. But she, paying no heed, approaches Seo Eun-yun and strikes his face with her right arm. Seo Eun-yun lets all that force flow away, then he too clenches his fist and drives a punch into Wal Ryong's face. Thwack. Her skull caves in, and an eyeball pops out. Because he strikes the principal, an enormous pain surges in, yet Wal Ryong recalls the pain suffered in the Corpse Mountain Blood Sea, endures the pain, and lashes a kick at Seo Eun-yun. Kwang. Seo Eun-yun lets the kick flow past, and the mountains behind collapse. However, this time he appears not to have diverted it completely, as his ribs seem to crack. You're tired. Wal Ryong judges Seo Eun-yun's condition and rushes at him. A bare-handed fight begins. Kwang, kwang, kwang. At Wal Ryong's fists, heaven and earth hum. Seo Eun-yun's fists are quiet, yet every time they dig into her body, Wal Ryong's body breaks without fail. To Wal Ryong, Seo Eun-yun feels as if he is not a human but like a single sword. Quack. Wal Ryong's ribs are cut away by Seo Eun-yun's knife hand. Holes open all over her body. Since becoming a true immortal, her authority that seemed infinite starts to dry up. Seo Eun-yun is immortal, and Wal Ryong becomes a mortal being. Yet even though their ranks have dropped that far, their exchange of blows does not stop. However, the match at last reaches its end. Jaejeong. Wal Ryong flips Seo Eun-yun over, grabs his neck, and slams him toward the palace gate behind. Kwang. Completely restrained, Seo Eun-yun can no longer let anything flow past and coughs blood. Kugugugu. Quote. Now, it is the end. Wal Ryong, at last seeing Seo Eun-yun within her grasp, smiles. Suat. Wal Ryong's face recovers. She does not recover her legs or arms, but she squeezes out her energy and recovers only her caved-in head. The reason she bothers to restore her face is extremely simple. The last departing appearance. At the very least, she does not want to go hideously before him. Kill me. Wal Ryong presses down on Seo Eun-yun's body. At the same time, her will turns into a sword and begins to pierce into Seo Eun-yun's chest. If it goes on like this, Seo Eun-yun will die. Therefore, having become like this, even Seo Eun-yun has no choice but to use it. You have never once used a killing move, have you? When fighting Wal Ryong? No, even when fighting the Great Mountain Supreme Deity, Wal Ryong knows that Seo Eun-yun was hiding his strength. She knows that, in the end, the Great Mountain Supreme Deity was truly beaten. Because Seo Eun-yun truly did not use that technique to the very end. That strongest killing art that you used through your hair clone. Devil Sword. 0. A power created to kill the opponent. Seo Eun-yun, to the very end, did not use that power. Even though he has the skill to copy any martial technique, just as he copied Wal Ryong's martial arts. Therefore, she smiles brightly. Kill me, Seo Eun-yun. Seo Eun-yun only looks at her and gives a bitter smile. Otherwise, you will die. The future king's technique has been, by my hand, restored to about the third form. Even if I face the future king, the minimum preparation to block about 3 moves is complete. And, as Wal Ryong says, these three forms, in terms of offensive power, are the strongest killing methods that surpasses mine and Kim Young-hoon's. If I had used the killing method when fighting GWAKM, I could have handled him a bit more easily. Uduk, doo-doo-duk. Wal Ryong's grip tightens more strongly around my neck. Her will becomes a sword and approaches my heart. Pong! I strike Wal Ryong's elbow and release the grip choking my neck. However, she merely grasps the sword of will that stabs my heart with her own hand and thrusts it in even harder. Kuik! I feel it. The tip of her sword stands before the surface of my heart. If the sword pushes in like this, I will die as I am. My main body as well will be pushed out of balance with the origin essence, be devoured by it, and die. Yes, right now, the power over my life and death belongs to her. If I do not kill Wal Ryong, I will die to Wal Ryong. Kill me, Seo Eun-yun. Wal Ryong calls my true name precisely and speaks again. I look at her and smile. Ryong ah, I cannot even twitch a single finger. You win, I cannot kill her. Wal Ryong's pupils tremble. In that trembling, a heart toward me dwells. Quote. Are you deceiving me? Wal Ryong asks with a sad smile. That smile looks as if at any moment it can turn into a scream filled with pain. You can kill me, Seo Young. Her voice starts to shake, and the form of address changes. Quote. How far are you trying to deceive me? Why, as if it isn't enough that you deceived my whole life. Wal Ryong begins to sob. Why are you treating me like you are sparing me? The killing art, if you use the killing art, you can beat me. From the start, what even are you? What on earth are you to throw me a chance to forgive and to care about trash like me in that way? Just, as you used to, like GWAKM, you could just use me and throw me away. Like GWAKM, you should have remained the bad guy to the end and waited arrogantly for me to take revenge. Wal Ryong wails. If you had remained the bad guy to the end, and if you had received my sword, my heart would not have been this tormented, it would not have been this confused. Why on earth do you give me the chance for revenge, and why do you not face me sincerely? I'm nothing but a bug. I slowly caress her cheek. There had been a time like that. Descend, all heavens. There was a time when I killed, with my own hands, the person who loved me, and died together. How can I think of the person who loves me as a bug? Ryong ah, if I kill and toy with the one who hates me, that is only the principle of the world. A simple principle of cause and effect retribution. However, if I toy with the life of the one who loves me, what retribution is that? Even if it is a speck of dust, it becomes the foundation stone that forms a mountain. If it is a being who throws body and heart to love me, I cannot dare to look down on them as a bug or a speck of dust. However I may have intervened in that life, it is right to devote body and heart to apologize. Quote. I am going to kill you. Seo Young, really, I am going to stab you. If that lets me be forgiven. Quote. You toyed with my life, but you did not make me unhappy. Wal Ryong's tears fall on my cheek. I know that master is alive, so that is enough. I was originally more attached to her than you anyway. I made her undergo the experience of losing Jiwa, the sword spear heavenly lord of this era, before her eyes. No matter how necessary that was for her. And I now know my original fate. You made me, who would have been unhappy, happier, right? Even if that was something that gave her happiness. So, I also want to make you happy. Wal Ryong cries. I want you to just kill me as I am, and after you forget me, seize the origin essence of the mountain and Seekan. Answer better than the great mountain supreme deity. Gik, Gigajik, Kugugik, her sword will digs into my heart. And only then do I come to understand something. This is, I see GWAKM's shadow behind Wal Ryong. How can Wal Ryong use the power of a true immortal inside the origin essence of the mountain? The answer lies in something simpler than I thought. Corpse Mountain Blood Sea. GWAKM's Corpse Mountain Blood Sea, though scattered, was not actually annihilated. Severing Heaven's sword form, the fifth. Though they gained freedom by all heavens, they still cling to GWAKM's final will. Prove it. That's right. Wal Ryong, too, is still inside the Corpse Mountain Blood Sea. My body and heart are so exhausted. I failed to recognize it. I waged war against the great mountain supreme deity, and I lost Hong Fan including my subordinates and friends. Because I became wrecked on every side, I lost my ability to judge. She is not stabbing me purely by her own will. GWAKAM's lingering thoughts. And the spirits of the corpse mountain blood sea, through her, are thrusting the sword at me. This is also a question. If pain is not the greatest teacher, then what is the greatest teacher? If beyond pain exists the greatest truth, can the ring of hatred and pain truly be severed? Do. The sword pierces the heart. Wal Ryong sheds even more tears. And she begins to endure. Even though she carries the will of the corpse mountain blood sea on her back, the reason she can endure without killing me outright, it is not only the lingering thought of the great mountain supreme deity GWAKM and the corpse mountain blood. See, there is also something that I left behind. The beginning, development, twist, conclusion I imposed upon Wal Ryong. For the enders, the beginning, development, twist, conclusion is that we reach the audience chamber. But Wal Ryong's beginning, development, twist, conclusion is different. The conclusion I lay upon her. The end where that fate heads is, becoming the ender's friend and protecting them. In other words, the lingering thought of great mountain and the will of the corpse mountain blood sea clash with the beginning, development, twist, and conclusion I imposed, preventing her from killing me. But, at the same time, it makes her even more confused and pained. She must protect me, but at the same time she must kill me and pursue the answer of GWAKM and the corpse mountain blood sea. Kill me, Wal Ryong shouts. Have you forgotten the sacrifices of your subordinates? That voice even sounds as if she is scolding me. Do you not know what your friends have been enduring for? My heart is gradually crushed. Do you not know what kind of time the god of death, who fights your friends outside while crying out for you, has been enduring? I know, yet I speak calmly. That's why all the more. I must stake my life right here and prove it. GWAKM asked me. Can I sever the chain of hatred? I answered. There is something greater than hatred and pain. Either way, if I cannot prove it here, there is nothing beyond this. I would have no face to see GWAKM and my master. There would be no possibility at all of winning against the being called the future king. I will not kill you. Boo-doo-dook. And then, my heart is completely pierced through. I rise and begin to approach Wal Ryong. Even if I die, I will no longer kill those who gave me their hearts. Even if my entire story ends here, it does not matter. Even if everything of the existence called Seo Unyan ends, it does not matter. Then, with tears falling, Wal Ryong looks up at me. Do you mean that I, who killed you, should live the rest of my life in hell? She opens her mouth. I will forgive you, but instead, live. Kill me, and carry all your grace and resentments on your back, and live. What comes out of her mouth is a scream. I want you to be happy. Even if the world is hell, because you can surely escape this hell. I am just a meager true immortal who is nothing compared to you, but you are different. So, in a world that is pain, I want you to live, and become happy. The way to do so. I'm just a fool so I don't know, but if it's you will surely find it, so please, live, Yana. In that wail where a genius calls herself a fool and sobs, I feel my breath grow thin. I close my eyes. I feel death. An extreme ultimatum. If I live, Wal Ryong dies, and I, who once more killed the person I love, will live in hell. If Wal Ryong lives, I die, and Wal Ryong will live in the hell where she killed the being she loves. One of us must die. Whoever dies, the one left behind must live in hell. GWAKM. This is what you wanted to say, isn't it? That no matter what I choose, it is pain. This ring cannot be severed. Not only the ring, but all those who try to cut the ring are nothing but birds trapped in the cage called pawn. My consciousness scatters. At the same time, I feel my main body being absorbed into the origin essence of the mountain. Only then do my comrades begin to show some different reactions. Their intent and expressions change. They heard something from Wal Ryong, but it seems different from what they see. It is probably different, because right now, I truly think it is fine to die. If someone must die, it must be me. I separate from Wal Ryong and gradually collapse. Because, only I see Wal Ryong sink into hell. Only I. With that sight as the last, I finally close my eyes. It was a long life. In this life, I have not a single regret. You heartless one, the heavenly venerable of the underworld, the netherworld queen mother Bon Hua sighs. Only when she sees the moment Seo Unyan reaches death does she notice his intentions and stops knocking on the door to enter the mountain immortal domain. Rather, the ones whose bearing changes are Seo Unyun's comrades. They look at Kong Minhee and, as if flustered, they shout. Kong Minhee only endures and, to the very end as Wal Ryong asked, blocks the main bodies of the enders from approaching Seo Unyun. At least Kim Yeon, who learned the immortal art of primordial origin, seems to notice something, and, shedding tears, stops in place. The underworld looks at them and smiles bitterly. Even if that is a method of certain victory, is it not too great a shock to the hearts of those who love you? She, bitterly, and with eyes as if looking at a beloved child, gazes at the dead Seo Unyun. Will remember you. Unyun ah. Hey, Seo Unyun. Quote. Seo Unyun. Unyun ah. Unyun. Oh, PPA. Quote. Seo Unyun. Kim Young-hoon, Jaeon Myung-hoon, Kong Min-hee, Oh Yun-sok, Kim Yeon, and Oh Hi-seo call out to Seo Unyun. But Seo Unyun does not revive. He only lies there as a lone corpse, placed in front of Wal Ryong, whose left arm and right leg are cut off. Wal Ryong closes her eyes. Quote. Yeah, I respect your choice. But, I do not forgive you. She asked him to live even if he must kill her. Yet to the end, to the very end, he toyed with her and died. So, she too decides not to forgive Seo Unyun. Sirring, drawing a nearby glass sword and bringing it to her own neck and chest, Wal Ryong closes her eyes. It was good to be with you. Thank you, Seo Unyun. Then, let us meet again. She loved him her entire life. Though her whole life was toyed with. Within the great mountain supreme deity, she learned the truth. That the world is made of pain, and that Seo Unyun tried to lead her, even a little, to the right place within pain. Therefore, when she heard him say he will give his life, and when she saw his resolve to actually give his life, forgiveness ended. She truly had no thought of taking his life. Though she was toyed with again by the mountain divine spirit called the great mountain supreme deity and was forced to choose one of two, she liked him enough to think that even if she dies, she wants Seo Unyun to live. However, he gave her his life, and in the end toyed with her life, and died embracing the entangled gray sand. Resentment. A god sacrificed their life for a bug. And the bug who lost the god has no confidence to live in the world that has become hell. Wal Ryong looks at Seo Unyun's corpse, and smiles one last time. Farewell, my god. Puak. With that, it is the end. No, she thought it was the end. Cooing. Quote. You are, until a silver sword falls between Wal Ryong and Seo Unyun's corpse. Quote. Moss. Tear. Wal Ryong recognizes that very sword at once. There is no way she does not know it. For the wave of soul she feels from that sword is perfectly the same as a being she knows. Wang, Wo Wang, her master appears to her in the form of a sword and is ringing out a sword cry. And, she suddenly notices that this sword's wave is creating something. This is severing mountain swordsmanship. Mountain Echoes Valley responds UAE. A move that treats the wave of the sword cry like a voice transmission and sends sword energy in the form of a wave as if sending a voice transmission to the opponent. And Seo Unyun placed his own voice transmission into Mountain Echoes Valley response. In preparation for when he dies. The sword Extreme Heavenly Sword begins to spit out Seo Unyun's last will. No, she thinks it is his last will. Wang, Wu Wang, the waves grow larger and larger. And by those waves, something enters Wal Ryong's eyes. It is mist, a pale mist. It is the canvas of myriad forms and connections within gracious soul filling the heavens. Wing, within the canvas of myriad forms and connections, the entire life of the being named Seo Unyun flashes past. And within that life, Wal Ryong can hear someone's voice. Will, not, Wu Wang, the world within the origin essence of the mountain. The mountain immortal domain is condensing. As if struck by the phenomena extinguishing mantra, centered on Seo Unyun's mist at the summit of Salt Mountain. And, feeling the world fill with light and heat amid that strange compression of the universe, Wal Ryong can hear that voice clearly. I will not put you into hell. I will not fall into hell either. Tsa. It is Seo Unyun, coming out of the mist. Seeing that which somehow appears translucent, Wal Ryong can tell what it is. Seo Unyun approaches. Heaven and earth gradually condense, the immortal domain narrows and brightens. From the center of that light, Seo Unyun, who comes to Wal Ryong, tightly holds Wal Ryong's two hands. Before she knows it, the limbs of hers that he has cut off are back. Because I am greedy, I will not let go of either. Kugugugu. Clench. Strength enters Seo Unyun's hands that hold her. For some reason, Wal Ryong feels as if she sees someone next to Seo Eun-yun. That one wears white garments similar to Wal Ryong. She gives off a feeling that evokes a white magnolia flower. If Wal Ryong is a sword, she looks like a swordsmith. Ryong ah. Seo Eun-yun's will comes close to Wal Ryong. If the world is hell. He kisses her forehead. Then is what I just gave you also of hell. An enlightenment that Seo Eun-yun received from someone in the past. Returning that enlightenment to the one who loved him. Seo Eun-yun smiles warmly. I will not die. Flutter. Suddenly, Wal Ryong sees a slip of paper fly to her side. It is a part of a book. She cannot see the title, but certainly. It is a story about a mountain spirit who resisted fate and went forward. Flutter, flutter, flutter. And led by that, countless sheets of paper begin to fly around her. Those sheets depict different scenes, but all of them draw the story of a single being. The celestial lord incense burning that Seo Eun-yun left behind before going to the outer sea. The story received from Sword Spear and spread by Kong Min he begins to fill all of heaven and earth. Only the form that I exist in changes. I will not truly die. Only the flesh has withered. I absolutely will not die. Tsot. Seo Eun-yun's body becomes even whiter. Gradually he transforms into white and scatters outward. The mountain immortal domain completely compresses and becomes a single point, and outside that point, Seo Eun-yun's voice begins to spread even wider. This form is truly the form to uphold Master's robe and alms bowl. By whatever means, make everyone in this world come to repentant enlightenment. Only that is truly the way to guarantee victory. That is precisely the last will of the Salt Sea Supreme Deity that Great Mountain heard. Hearing that last will, the Great Mountain Supreme Deity GWAKM decided to force everyone to come to repentant enlightenment. And Seo Eun-yun decided that even if it requires endless kalpas, he will melt himself down and become the path of repentant enlightenment that is passed down forever to later generations. He is to become the classics' core canonical texts. Thus, continuing on forever to later generations, someday enlightening all beings of all phenomena to repentant enlightenment. He is to become the book of documents Seogyung that embraces the Great Plan 9 categories. TLN. The Great Plan 9 categories, are particularly the Hongfan Great Plan and Gu Junin categories as a chapter of the Book of Documents. The name Seogyung uses the same Hangul as the Book of Documents and can mean Book of Documents. A teacher greater than pain, is always. Tuck. The scattering forehead of Seo Eun-yun and Wal Ryong's forehead touch. Feeling that warmth, Wal Ryong at last stops her tears. The warmth that a person conveys to a person. That story. The warmth contained within it. A person can change with only that. Pain is a good teacher, but the best teacher is eternally a story. A country that used to eat salted human flesh, on hearing the story of a person who transmitted benevolence, righteousness, propriety, and wisdom, stopped eating people and attempted rule by virtue. A land where beings once practiced human sacrifice, on hearing the story that transmitted the word of the sole God who saved a people, saw human sacrifice cease. A great land that was nothing but a place of mere barbarism, on hearing the story that transmitted the saying to benefit mankind widely, became a place where a nation was founded. The warmth that a person conveys to a person. The story that contains it. The history of people always took that as its teacher. No, it is the same even for what is not a person. Flap 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 flap. Wal Ryong looks at the last page of the endlessly whirling sheets of paper. There, the end of a mountain divine spirit is written. That mountain divine spirit throws off the body of a divine spirit and thinks thus. Thank you for everything until now. For letting me live a person's life. For gifting me this precious life. For being with me, thank you. Seeing that, Wal Ryong feels the origin essence of the mountain that has come to her, compressed to a single point, bestowing limitless strength upon her. It is Seo Eun-yun's authority. All the authority, enlightenment, memories, divine powers, and martial arts he has accumulated until now. He intends to transmit all of it to all comrades with her as the medium. With this, it is sufficient to attack the audience chamber even without the existence called Seo Eun-yun. Yes, Seo Eun-yun thus, across a long and longer life, doing his utmost in all he can do, presented the best answer and closed his eyes. Wal Ryong looks at the seat of the mountain held in her hand. From there, a faint phenomena extinguishing mantra resounds. Immortal cultivation is repentant enlightenment. Wal Ryong smiles at the sight. As if all her lingering regrets are resolved. And, inside her, within, all the corpse mountain blood seas that exist who have found freedom led by her, a certain voice flows out. Yes, You are better than me. In Wal Ryong's eyes, in that distant white space, a faint vision is reflected of someone in a blood robe turning back to glance behind. Their gaze is directed at the origin essence of the mountain in her hand. ... You win. They look forward again and disappear somewhere, leaving a single remark. Junior brother, Wu Wang. With those words as the end, the origin essence of the mountain held in Wal Ryong's hand gradually begins to rise upward. Clang. At last, by Seo Eun-yun and the underworld, and by time, the regression of Mount Sumeru is completed, and at the center of the Heavenly King heavenly domain of the regressed Mount Sumeru. There, the Rain-Dew Heavenly Lord, left alone, raises a god-killing spear in their hand and aims it at Wal Ryong. However, Wal Ryong's body begins to shine. And starting with it, some shining things begin to draw a spiral and soar from the Sun and Moon heavenly domain to the Heavenly King heavenly domain, beginning to surround something that begins to rise. Like tiny grains of salt gathering to form the sea. Those shining existences, who refuse even the control of the underworld, shine in all of heaven's natural colors and are chanting something. Build mountains through repentant enlightenment. It is the phenomena extinguishing mantra. Building a mountain of salt is perhaps the fastest way to reach the heavens. They are the very beings of the corpse mountain blood sea who, until just a moment ago, had shed bloody tears and sung of pain. Each to one another holding hands. But now, no one among them, not a single existence, sheds tears of blood or suffers. With everyone at the sea, drink salt, and with the wind, soar. The origin essence of the mountain leaves Wal Ryong's hand and gradually begins to fly higher, and, centered on it, white spirits whose number is almost immeasurable draw a spiral as they ascend, singing without end. Light combining all intents turns them colorless. A certain someone's hand overlaps beneath Wal Ryong's hand, and together they raise their arms toward the sky. She wears a silver dragon robe and, somehow, scatters a sword aura similar to Wal Ryong's. Looking down at that woman, the Rain-Dew Heavenly Lord lets out a soundless roar. Beginning with that woman, a blonde man braces his hand beneath that hand again. Embrace all connections and become impermanence. A red-haired man also extends his hand. A blue-haired woman, a silver-haired man, and a woman with light pink hair as well. Even a woman with her original hair that carries a faintly tinged red. All of them brace their hands beneath Wal Ryong. By their hands, the seat that is rising upward toward the Heavenly King heaven finally leaves the Sun and Moon heavenly domain, and begins to float ever higher and ever farther. Thank you. You were right. Kim Yeon sends a warm gaze to Wal Ryong. That if he could find the answer, he could obtain another chance through GWAKM. Wal Ryong shakes her head. It is not through GWAKM. The souls who were the corpse mountain blood sea speak the final verse of the mantra. For that, you always get back what you give. Tsat. With those words as the end, Wal Ryong, together with the other spirits, becomes a pure white light and joins the spiral that covers the origin essence of the mountain. She stands at the top of the spiral, at the very forefront, becoming the brightest soul. Flash. Someone is born. By their birth alone, an enormous explosion occurs, and the Sumeru Three Heavens Great Thousand world begins to shake. By the interpretation of the newly born owner of the seat, the essence of what had been the seat of the mountain reverses, is how one reaches the stars. What is made by accumulating specks of dust is a great mountain. And what is made by gathering the dust of the universe, is the star. The Sumeru Three Heavens Great Thousand World. The symbol of all mountains begins to transform into the symbol of stars. The Gon of the 8 trigrams changes in an instant, its character turning into star. TLN, the character for Gon of the 8 trigrams means mountain. With a change so vivid that all cultivators who are practicing immortal cultivation notice, countless Milky Ways begin to pour out from the origin essence of the star. Seeing that sight, Oh Yun-sok's arm begins to move on its own. The existence that dwells as a lingering thought in Oh Yun-sok's body fully expends that lingering thought and, through the portion of Seo Eun-yun's soul they previously received as a gift from Seo Eun-yun, begins to draw forth a new name. Their essence whispers to put heaven into that name. But the moment they see the dance of the Milky Ways unfurling in that sky, through self-repentant enlightenment, with the pure desire of a namer, with the pure heart that wants to give a name, they manage to reject that essence. The name of the existence newly rising in that sky is Star Genesis Supreme Deity LX. They are the owner of the story that has at last become a star. The star-creating Supreme Deity is arriving. The stars of every heavenly domain, which gain personhood by the advent of their master, welcome their Lord and unanimously pray for his descent. The star Genesis Supreme Deity is arriving. The star Genesis Supreme Deity is arriving. The star Genesis Supreme Deity is arriving. Coo-goo-goo-goo-goo-goo. Within innumerable seas of stars, as a vast heavenly domain is newly born, an existence wearing a dragon robe made of Milky Ways begins to open their eyes. Seated upon the jade throne of the galaxy, they awaken again and, with a warm smile, sweep their gaze over all of all phenomena. The last master of the heavenly king heavenly domain, touched by that existence's gaze, opens their mouth in panic. Let the Radiance 8 Immortals hear. However, the Radiance 8 Immortals, already all gone, cannot answer. And the newly born god of starlight opens their mouth. Let the myriad stars hear. The stars of the nations, to receive their master's decree, answer in a resounding voice. By your command, 780. Even if this is the last time, it is fine. Even if it ends, it is fine. Even if it is not me. For master's method cannot fail. Throwing my whole body, I melt down my existence into the countless stories I scatter with celestial Lord incense burning. And at the same time, the remaining regret from one corner of my heart. To ease the regret that comes when I think of how those who remain will be sad, I speak to them. I will not die, only the form of existence changes. All of them, whose form of existence kept changing, starting from the star-shattering stage, sacred vessel stage, entering nirvana stage, and up to reaching true immortality, will fully understand. Thank you for everything until now. Expressing gratitude to everyone here, I throw my consciousness toward my last that I have so greatly longed for. I feel the spirit, along with the memory and self scatter. Smiling broadly, I move my steps toward the conclusion I most long for. This is true death. I will not return again, nor will I become meaningless. True death. With my consciousness gone, what calls out to one lingering strand of my consciousness is the voices of some people. Immortal cultivation is repentant enlightenment. It even sounds like singing. It is the singing that countless gathered crowds are letting out. However, for some reason, there is something more concerning than that singing. It is the back view of someone. Far over there, a thatched house is visible. It is that very thatched house where, once, Master hanged me upside down and beat me soundly, made me sweep under the Bodhi tree, and made me polish the mirror. At the entrance of that thatched house, someone stands with their back turned. They are a hulking being wearing a blood robe. As that being turns to me and mutters in a low voice that one line. For some reason, it seems to lodge in my spirit more distinctly than any singing. Quote. Yes, you are better than me. You are. I become curious who they are. For some reason I am in a daze, this whole world is white, and the only things I see are the thatched house where I lived with my master and that one being. And, as if to resolve my question, they answer. Quote. You win, junior brother. This being lets out a few more words. With splitting heaven, the snake is killed. At the very least, you won't be hit in the back of the head right as you go in. Single quote. Question mark single quote. Now the only one who inherits that person's robe and alms bowl is you. Go, win, and, is. They become more distant. They go into the thatched house, and as the house seems to blur, soon the whole world turns pure white. Cherish your life. With those words, I come to know this being is. His name is the Great Mountain Supreme Deity GWAKM. My senior brother, Suat. As I regain consciousness, I hear the sound of the phenomena extinguishing mantra ringing through all heaven and earth. Wu Wang. At the same time, within the origin essence of the mountain, I feel GWAKM's will. I acknowledge you. The origin essence of the mountain that is devouring me, following the will of its former owner, acknowledges me and begins to submit. Single quote. Ah, I can do it. I realize, from the situation where the origin essence of the mountain is devouring me, I can in turn devour it. I had considered the only choice left to me is death. But it is not so. As if, just as I created a choice in Wal Ryong's either or where no one falls into hell, it feels like my senior brother has also given me another option as well. I can live. As soon as I see the possibility, I begin to try with all my strength to recover my ego. Suat. At the same time, I see a white spiral around me. I see that spiral gives me strength. The scattered spirit, like tiny grains of salt gathering to form the sea. Build mountains through repentant enlightenment. Building a mountain of salt is perhaps the fastest way to reach the heavens. The phenomena extinguishing mantra that the spiral chants amplifies my scattered heart. The power of my spirit that has scattered into heaven and earth and has been annihilated amplifies to its peak and begins to recondense like a heavenly domain. The annihilated self begins to gather back by the phenomena extinguishing mantra. Each to one another holding hands. With everyone at the sea, drink salt. And with the wind, soar. This is. My self grows clearer and clearer, and as I find strength within that self, the possibility of seizing the origin essence of the mountain begins to appear even more clearly. At the same time, the light of that spiral in my soul begin to resonate. Feeling that, I twist the formula of the phenomena extinguishing mantra. Not the original formula, but a formula I created. I shall twist the mountain immortal Tao, with my interpretation. Like mixing all intents turn them colorless. Embrace all connections and become impermanence. It is no longer a mountain. For even if a mountain is accumulated, it is under the heavens. Master, and senior brother, inheriting your wills, I will leap beyond the sky. Loftily afloat in the sky, illuminating the heavens. For that, I will become the light of all. The will of righteousness that Azure Tiger Saint taught. With that will foremost, Kim Young-hoon, Cheonmin Ryong, the Mad Lord, Seo Weo, Yin Wei, the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Sect, Black Ghost Valley. And Buk Hyung-hwa, and others. Carrying on the wills of all my teachers, I seek to illuminate the heavens with that enlightenment. Is how one reaches the stars. I seek to become a star. Kugugugugu. My consciousness rises further and further, and by the phenomena extinguishing mantra the spirit fully recovers. At the same time, I understand the identity of those who chant the phenomena extinguishing mantra. They are the beings of Corpse Mountain Blood Sea left by the great mountain supreme deity. The melody those beings weave is the mantra that restores me. Within the song of those of the Corpse Mountain Blood Sea, I realize one strand of truth. I see. From the beginning, everything was a trial. He also knew that he was in the wrong. However, even he knew this was the best he could do, so he fervently hoped the greatest successor who surpasses the best would appear and surpass him. Therefore, he, seeking to realize that wish through me, bestowed upon me a trial of pain from the beginning. Wal Ryong was the last trial the great mountain supreme deity left to test me. And, at the end of every trial, there is bound to be a reward. Oco Unyun's reverse scale. You, as the representative, shall bestow upon him the final trial. The mission she received from the great mountain supreme deity when she was confined within the Corpse Mountain Blood Sea. If he fails to receive forgiveness from you, then even if he erodes the origin essence of the mountain, let him be affected by my lingering will, let his personality be distorted, and let him go mad. If he fails to expound what teacher is more excellent than pain, as he boasts, and fails to persuade you in the beings of the Corpse Mountain Blood Sea, then one day he shall go mad from the malice I leave within the origin essence of the mountain. However, if he receives forgiveness from you, and truly, by giving his life, succeeds in producing an answer, my will shall acknowledge him and recognize him as the next owner of the mountain and will enthrone him to the imperial throne. My will acknowledges him and recognizes him as the next owner of Great Mountain, raising him to the imperial throne in enthronement. The beings of the Corpse Mountain Blood Sea that I leave behind, moved by him, will assist him with the light of heart Tao blooming he leaves and the power of the phenomena extinguishing mantra so that he cannot easily die. His soul, so long as his conviction does not fade and his enlightenment does not wane, shall forever, by them, occupy one heavenly seat. What save me are the spirits of the beings I freed by giving them freedom. Single quote. Thank you. I smile brightly at the thought that what I have done is not meaningless. At the same time, I am able to realize something else. The question of contemplation Ho Woon gave me. If I prove equality through pain, how that is different from GWAKAM's Tao. Now I can finally answer. Now, let's no longer prove the Tao through pain. For even if the method of proving the Tao is not pain, simply being connected is enough. Just being passed on to each other is enough. Go ahead, I see a boundary. It is the boundary that leads to the pinnacle of true immortality. At the same time, it is the boundary by which I reach a state that transcends all limits and bounds of a true immortal. I can reach it. I too shall become a heavenly king and reach the end of every grace and resentment of enders. Then, I suddenly notice that something is binding me. It is a black something. It seems like a snake, like a chain, or like black silk. I see. Is this the tribulation of advancement? I begin to rip apart the black something that binds me. Duke. What are you doing? From the shadow of the black thing, a figure that looks exactly like me but wears black clothes appears. Get lost, heart demon. A look of absurdity rises in its eyes, but by nature there is no need to exchange opinions with a heart demon. I have gained the highest enlightenment. At my shout, the black thing that seems to be the heart demon turns faint and begins to collapse. I am not shaken by any cunning words. With a great shout, I completely tear off and rip apart the black thing that binds me, and I move toward that boundary. Only after tearing it do I realize that it is not a mere heart demon but some kind of fate, yet judging that a fate that collapses this easily is not important, I move forward. And, at last, I reach the high peak. A sea of stars burst forth. As if I am newly born from an egg, I wear a dragon robe made of the Milky Ways and sit upon a jade throne made of countless galactic clusters, gazing upon all things of all phenomena. The consciousness domain maximizes, and the power of consciousness becomes embodied. The power of will, which until now was nothing but apparent consciousness, truly begins to have power and affect reality. Consciousness transforms into the heavenly domain. At the same time, a resounding will reverberates inside and outside the heavenly domain. The star Genesis Supreme Deity is arriving. By me, innumerable stars have their personhood awakened, born as innate demigods, and begin to praise me. One chi of the primordial chaos, aligned above the emptiness, honored Tao Lord, primordial origin great balance creating and decreeing star venerable supreme deity Alpha unknown currency Ek Pi O section O Chuang Ling Xing Zun Shang Di. A long true title engraves itself upon me. And without even a moment to understand why I have become a supreme deity. The abbreviated name Star Genesis Supreme Deity echoes across the entire heavenly domain. The Star Genesis Supreme Deity is arriving. The Star Genesis Supreme Deity is arriving. The Star Genesis Supreme Deity is arriving. Ku-gu-gu-gu-gu. At the same time, only now do I realize the meaning of the tangwa my master painted. Did you predict this far? Master. Kuring, kururururung. The tangwa the lingering thought of my master showed during my cultivation of the radiance 10 heavens. The outermost, black snake biting its tail. The middle, wheel of starlight. The innermost, white 3 great ultimates. I felt that what was important was not those 3 circles themselves, but that something traces a curvature at their center. My master praised my discernment. Only now can I know. What is the most important among those 3 circles? Kurururung. The 3 great ultimates rotate. And, the boundary of the 3 great ultimates begins to blur. Inside that rotation, a strange curvature arises, and the fragments of the shattered wheel are incorporated into that rotation. The wheel made to suit the heavenly venerable of the underworld now begins to evolve completely to suit me. And centered on that wheel and the 3 great ultimates, all my mantras and immortal arts begin to unify. Ururururung. A new mantra does not arise the way the phenomena extinguishing mantra and the flawless mantra combine to give birth to the wheel. However, as all those mantras combine, the newly evolved wheel sublimates so that I can wield all the power I have as one. I give a new name to the newly evolved wheel. Turning wheel mantra Z. It is not an immortal art of the reincarnation of souls, but an immortal art of the turning wheel that makes the era roll forth. Flash. That mantra is no longer in the form of the wheel. I feel that the power of the 3 great ultimates I possess has its boundaries completely vanish and reaches the true state of the first, and I feel the authority granting me power from behind like a halo. The wheel and the 3 great ultimates that revolve behind me now begin to take the form of a galaxy rotating behind me. According to the mantra that takes the form of the galaxy, the symbol of the Star Genesis Supreme Deity is newly engraved upon one of the heavenly seats. Galaxy with 3 tails. That is my final symbol, reached at the summit of immortal cultivation. And at last, as all my pain washes away and a face is finally restored to the immortal body, I gaze upon the heavens with a benevolent smile. There, the last remaining remnant of radiance. The rain-dew heavenly Lord grips the God-killing spear and glares at me. To resolve the final grace and resentment, I begin to issue a decree toward the entire heavenly domain. Let the myriad stars hear. At my single utterance, the stars of the Sumeru 3 heavens great thousand world answer. By your command, I, in the name of the owner of myriad stars, issue a decree. Beneath my hand, enforce the debt of all who until now have received the grace of stars. The underworld. There, the heavenly venerable of the underworld shows, for the first time, a startled expression and looks toward Mount Sumeru. What is this? How did an ender, how did he smash his own fate and ascend as a supreme deity? The interdimensional void. There, hope and despair are engraved in the eyes of Hyeon Mu. So such a thing was possible. Are you saying you are different from all the others before now? Was it truly possible for a tool to slip free from its owner's hand? But, at the same time, this entire batch may be scrapped. Ha ha ha, ha 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 ha, I thought at least half could be completed, yet we may have to start over from the very beginning. Ah ha 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 ha.